Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a great New Year's Eve. Welcome on into BKL Nightly. I'm Thad Brown along with Rachel Liebert. After going through all the New Year's Eve fun, we are ready to move back into football. A new year, but same old for the Bills, getting ready for their season finale against the Jets. We will talk about the injury report from today, more final Highmark Stadium game discussion, and picks, such as they are, for the Bills and the Jets. Like we said, let's start with that injury report. And it is fairly lengthy today. A lot of guys who did not practice. Right at the top of the list, quarterback Josh Allen, still with a foot injury. And when you take Allen missing both Wednesday and Thursday practice, even though Wednesday was just a walkthrough, along with Terrell Bernard, Joey Bosa, Daquan Jones, Jordan Poyer, a lot of those guys, especially Bernard, Jones, and Poyer, have significant injury issues to where they may have been a DMP if this was like week 5. But be it week 18, I think all these injuries are kind of letting you know that the Bills are leaning towards resting players over really pushing anyone on Sunday. AJ Epinesa did not practice today with an illness that apparently is going around. Reggie Gilliam missed practice yesterday with an illness. You'll see in a minute here that Trey White also did not or was limited today with an illness. In terms of the other limited players, Dalton Kincaid, that's a good thing. That seems to be progress. Dawson Knox, Cam Lewis, Jordan Phillips, very much questionable to play. Matt Prater, excellent news for the Bills, full practice. He told us yesterday he was good to go. We'll have more with Matt Prater in just a minute. So, Rachel, a couple different things to talk about there. First, we'll start with the resting or not resting part of it. It does seem like if Josh Allen's not going to play, then you can sit down anyone else you want. How much do the Bills, or should they care about winning or losing this game? They're the 7th seed right now. In theory, they can move up to the 5. They probably won't move up that far because Houston needs their game against the Colts, who are playing a third-string quarterback. Houston should win. So even if the Bills went all out, the ceiling for what they can get to seed-wise is probably 6. Does it really make sense to fight for the 6th seed this week?
I don't think so. I think it's smarter to probably sit those guys, the 6 or 5 of them that were on the DMP list today. Like we said, Josh Allen will probably come in for 1 snap, so he keeps that consecutive record going. But other than that, I don't see the need to play them and risk anything, especially, guys like Joey Bosa and even Kincaid. I mean, he could be a toss-up, an argument if we want to see him on the field or not too. So I don't think, obviously the Bills want to win, but to me, I feel like keeping people healthy is probably the priority here. Yeah,
winning the last game at Highmark Stadium is a thing that will matter. But in terms of the playoff situation, I'm with you totally. I don't think there's any reason to run anybody out there. You can't sit everybody. There's only 53 guys on the roster. You got to make 48 of them active. So there's only so many players you can have inactive on a Sunday. The Bills, I'm sure, will go to the max of that. But I think this is the right call. And we'll talk a little bit later about what the game is going to be like. I don't know if it's really going to matter all that much if the Bills win or lose. It is a little disappointing that the last game of the stadium will be a terrible Jets team that's banged up against a Bills team that's not trying. But a discussion for another day. I think that is the right call. James Cook was a vet rest guy, though. I think they will try and get him the rushing title. He is ahead of Jonathan Taylor by 47 yards or so. He's ahead of Derrick Henry by 137. Bijan Robinson's 150 back. Can't totally discount him if the Bills were to sit James Cook down. But this is something that matters, Rachel. I think the Bills will want to get him this mark. Deion Dawkins talked about it today, that it is like the MVP last year. It's something that everybody can take some pride in.
Yeah, they've talked about it all week. I think Sean McDermott, too, said, which not shocking, but seeing that come from a head coach, too, maybe I saw some discourse online about, well, should the Bills be focusing so much on this rushing record? But it is something that's important to them.
Rushing title.
Rushing title.
I've been saying record too, by the way. Yeah. I'm trying to correct
rushing title.
Yeah.
But I think he'll play. And then we kind of talked about there's certain marks. Maybe he'll get 75 and they'll pull him. I don't see him playing the entire game if he's kind of not, building up those rushing yards. I don't think they would risk him being in there for the entire game to get that title. But I think we'll still see him out there.
Last year, he needed the 1 touchdown to surpass the O.J. Simpson mark in terms of touchdowns in a season. They used him kind of sparingly. It wasn't a lot, but when they had an opportunity to get him in near the end zone, they gave him those snaps. I think it'll be similar in this, that get him some yards, get some cushion, but let's make sure that number 4 is healthy for the postseason. Like we said, every Thursday, Deion Dawkins speaks to the media. He did so again today. He talked a lot about the final game at Highmark Stadium, as you would not be surprised to hear. And a couple things about that. Number one, he admitted that, like any other human being, this is something that he's thought about all year long. And for players who consistently tell us that tunnel vision, we only think about the next game, it was a little refreshing to hear a guy say, yeah, I'm a human being. I've thought about this for sure. He actually is had a nice gesture this week. He has donated his suite to his foundation. So assumably kids and other people are going to have the opportunity to be a part of this last game. And you might think, well, what does that mean? He donated his suite. He said that his family is going to have to sit somewhere else on Sunday for the game. If that means maybe even being in the cold outside. Now, obviously Deion Dawkins can locate himself some tickets if he has to, but it's still, Rachel, that's not nothing to give away your suite like that.
I think too, if you ever doubted like the genuineness of Deion Dawkins, I think this really solidifies that he really is about his foundation and really is just embodies Buffalo. I mean, this is a guy, when you think of who embodies the Bills, I mean, my mind goes to Deion Dawkins. He's always talking about the city, and for him, you would think that this is a big moment for him to take in, the last game at the stadium, and it's just a really cool thing that he's done.
4-time team nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and very appropriate to have that honor. Now, Dawkins also opened up, and I didn't think about this because, like, when a season ends, you'll hear guys say, or you'll find out about injuries. Guys will have surgeries, things they've been nursing all year. If a coach gets fired, you might hear some more honesty from a player. When out the stadium is going to be on the way out, Deion Dawkins like, let's be a little honest about the stadium. And he had some interesting comments about the way it works on the field for the players with only having one tunnel to get them in and out of a game.
We can talk about how crazy the stadium is, right? Like how old it is, right? How there's one way in and one way out for us, right? And for guys to go to battle and then to turn around and walk up the tunnel, like, all right, guys, yep, you're shoulder to shoulder, like, like that'll be stuff that people will ask questions like, how was it like leaving the game after being in battle and walking side by side with your opponent? Yeah, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
It's funny that he talks about it that way because I have walked next to all these players for 26 years in that tunnel. And 99% of the time, it's cordial at worst. If
I was
not,
going to ask you that. Okay.
And there are many times where guys are walking up the tunnel and you can tell they're old college buddies or they know each other or hey, how did that go? It's somewhere between cordial and friendly. Now, there have been a few, and Deion referenced there was a Shaq Lawson fight a few years ago. Deion got into a battle. And when I mean fight, I don't mean like knockdown, throwing haymakers, just pushing and shoving kind of thing. And even this past week, Bills-Eagles, after Spencer Brown takes a poke in the eye, apparently there were words on the field because on the field, you could tell Saquon Barkley and a couple other Eagles players were kind of looming around where the Bills players were. It was weird. There was actually a situation where at the end of the game, guys will almost always kneel for a prayer circle. The Eagles players who seemed unhappy stood next to the prayer circle like, okay, you all can say your prayer, but when you get up, we're about to have this happen. And there was a lot of talking and going back and forth between Eagles players and Bills players, Spencer Brown in particular, all the way off the field and up in the tunnel. And what happens is on the field, you can kind of have however much space you want. But that tunnel is like,
right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nowhere to go.
It's like 20 feet wide, so everything kind of gets closer. And it is unusual. It's not the only stadium in the league that's like this. There are others. Detroit, by the way, has one main tunnel where the players come off the field. So it's not totally a one-off that this is how they do it in Buffalo. But circling all the way back to what Deion said, I was surprised to hear him describe it as horrible.
Yeah, he's very candid.
Exactly. Because most of the time, I thought it wasn't great. And yeah, I'm sure there were some bad feelings, but guys seem to deal with it okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it would be horrible. I mean, maybe not horrible, but you would think, maybe, I don't know, to have to walk up. I mean, somebody has to lose, so somebody's got to be walking up. I think, too, it probably isn't great when you are the home team and you just lost on your home field. It's going to make it 20 times worse. That's your walk up your tunnel, and then here comes the away team coming in, and which is what happened last week. But for him to say it's horrible, I'm kind of surprised. I feel like he's never, talking bad about anything really related to, the stadium or the facility. So for him to say that, it's kind of funny.
It is the one thing about that stadium that is decidedly negative, that there just isn't room for all the things that all the other stadiums have in terms of the bowels of the stadium and functionality and all that stuff. But like I said, for all the games, all the times I've watched guys walk off that field, almost all of them seem at worst polite. and in many cases, almost friendly. So I was as surprised by horrible as you were. Let's move on to Matt Prater. We talked about him on the injury report. A full practice, the Bills with Michael Badgley, who you can see why that guy continually is unemployed. No knock on him. Look, he's one of the best kickers in the world, but not someone who belongs in the NFL right now. So Prater will likely be back for this game and assumably be back for the playoffs. We talked to him on Wednesday about how he's feeling and also how he's feeling about being a part of the Bills this year.
I just don't heal as quick as I used to. So in the past, I think I would have been back sooner, but with my age and everything else, I'm just kind of trying to follow what they tell me to do and get back whenever they, have me back. It's been honestly a breath of fresh air. It's been fun coming out here, being a part of this organization with this team. It's fun playing again. It's not, perfect or upset. You're just playing again. Like I love being here from top to bottom with the ownership, coaches, quarterback, everybody. It's the best locker room I think I've ever been in.
I thought that was an important part to include because Matt Prater is 41. He's been in lots of locker rooms. So that is no small praise from Prater for the Bills. Not that we don't hear this about the Bills all the time, but coming from somebody like that, I think it means a little bit more. As for Prater, Rachel, what a find for the Bills. Like we said, Michael Badgley was the kicker most of the year for the Colts, and now he's out of a job. It is hard to find a dependable kicker, especially after your previous kicker, Tyler Bass, was hurt himself. So the Bills are looking for their second dependable kicker this year, and they landed one with Prater.
Yeah, I think week one, people have been excited since week one, and he hit the game winner. I mean, coming in, the big thing was, one, is he going to stay healthy? And two, he's old. I mean, he's been in the league for so long. Does he still have it? And he does. And even though he's been hurt, I mean, he's been a decent part of the success of this team this season. Like I said, going back to week one, I think that's when people realized, okay, he still has it in him and he can still do this. So for him to say that, and then to add that he's, been so happy with Buffalo and everything, it's just cool to see. And
he did not, you talked about the two things where people were wondered about him. He did not fulfill the one about staying healthy. Now,
he did not.
It looks like he's going to be healthy into the playoffs, and that's really all the Bills need. But that will be a concern going forward. If Prater re-injures the quad, and the Bills do need him for multiple weeks. First of all, that's great for the Bills if we're having this conversation. But for the most part, he's been pretty accurate. Now, he is down when it comes to extra point accuracy. He's missed 3 of 46, so he ranks 23rd in the league right now in that category. Field goal-wise, 18 of 20 is fine, I think top 10. 20 field goal tries is very low, so the Bills score lots of touchdowns, makes it easy on your kicker. This is not a guy who is an all-star or someone who's going to dominate. But again, for finding him off the scrap heap 1 week before the season started, it's worked out pretty well for the Bills so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just like we said, there were so many question marks with Tyler Bass, and even Tyler Bass going to back to last year, he hasn't been consistent. So it was kind of like, okay, what can we get that's better than what we had? And it feels like Prater has worked out in a way that feels maybe more confidence into what he can do and when he's lined up to kick a field goal.
All right, let's go to our BKL roundtable. And today we are going to do one topic, one discussion, because it is pretty much the discussion that I think most people are having right now when it comes to the Bills and what's going to happen going forward, because there just isn't anything going on with the game this week. And that is which opponent the Bills could face next week in the wild card round do they most and or least want to face? So 6 potential teams they could see. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston, New England, Denver, Jacksonville. We both have our own rankings. We're going to go easiest to hardest. I'll start with this. Do we both have Pittsburgh as the easiest team?
Yes, we
Absolutely.
do.
Okay, that's a no-brainer. There's nothing there that makes you afraid of the Steelers. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, Moxie, Mike Tomlin. Even Mike Tomlin, as good a coach as he is, losing in round 1 is what he does. So that's the guy you want to face. So that's what I figured. Okay, who do you have at number 2?
I have Denver at number 2. They do have a good rushing defense, which made me kind of go back and forth of would they be able to handle the Bills' most of their offense. But they just lost to the Chiefs with their 3rd string quarterback. I mean, Bo Nix is having a decent year, but
they beat the Chiefs 20-13. It was closer than it should have been, but
they just beat the Chiefs. Then who just lost to the Chiefs?
Denver just beat the Chiefs. I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't know.
Okay, somebody just lost.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think maybe just because I haven't seen them as much and don't really know much about this offense, but I have them as the 2nd just because I don't know if Bo Nix has what it takes.
I'm with you on Bo Nix. I'm not high on them. I'm going to get to them in a minute, but I definitely hear what you're saying. Let me just confirm here. So yeah, Denver beat the Chiefs 20-13 last week. The Chiefs' last win was the Colts game a while ago. So the Chiefs have been they played the Broncos a lot tighter than you would think, which is another mark against Denver, frankly, because Denver all year has been doing we're going to just win by 5 or 10 points and get away with it. The Broncos this year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins by 1 score or less out of their 13. So there's some good fortune that is blessing the Broncos this year. My number 2 team for the Bills, second easiest team, Ravens. I know it's Derrick Henry.
Interesting.
I know that everybody's afraid of facing him and what that run game can do, but I think Baltimore's got the worst defense of anybody in the playoffs not named Pittsburgh that Buffalo could face. And I don't think Lamar Jackson is close to 100%. And I know going to Baltimore is, if you want to rank away sites, Baltimore is high on the list of places you don't want to be. But with a defense that I think the Bills can attack and a quarterback that I don't think can do enough, certainly not what he was doing last year, of the options the Bills have, I've got Baltimore number 2. I think that's the easiest group. And I think it's by a significant amount too. I go, Pittsburgh is easy by a lot. Then a big jump down to Baltimore, but then another big jump down to the next 4 teams who I kind of all have in the same group together. And I'll go, my third easiest team is Denver, because I'm basically with you there. I don't trust Bo Nix. As good as the defense was and has been, the Bills dominated it last year in a playoff game. So I feel better about Buffalo going against that defense than some of the other really good ones they could face. Who did you have number 3?
I have the Jags as my number 3. I honestly have been thinking of this from like the defensive perspective because the Bills' offense has just been struggling all year. The Jags have the top rushing defense in the league. Their offense is average. Trevor Lawrence to me doesn't seem like a quarterback that's going to go far. Same thing with Bo Nix. However, their offense has been doing pretty well. They handled Denver and they handled LA like pretty easily. I feel like they're kind of a sneaky team where maybe people underestimate them because they just haven't been good the last few years, and Trevor Lawrence isn't a like standout quarterback. That's why I have them at number 3.
I have them number 4, so we're more or less in the same order there. And the sneaky team thing, I'm with you on. I don't know what to make of them.
Yeah, me either.
I didn't like them much. They have a lot of turnovers, so those things tend to be a little bit lucky / fluky if much of your success relies upon having a heavy turnover margin. So that's why I kind of put them at 4, which really puts them right in the middle of all these teams the Bills could face. That said, their run defense is excellent. They have Josh Hines-Allen, who can be a one-man wrecking crew when it comes to a pass rush. And their offense, I don't know if there's a superstar, but Trevor Lawrence is better. Jacoby Myers has made the passing group better. Brian Thomas Jr. has been a superstar at times. They've got decent tight ends. Travis Etienne has been really good. So the potential for that offense being superb is there. I just don't know if I want to expect it. So I had them at 4. Who do you have at 4?
I have the Patriots at 4. I'm looking at my list. My numbers are like backwards. Patriots at number 4. Obviously they split the regular season. This is just a team where they have Drake May. I mean, their offense has been rolling all year. Now, who knows what's going to happen with Diggs? That's a whole separate situation. But I mean, I just feel like the Bills don't want to see the Patriots. I think hold it off as long as they can because their offense is a threat. They've been rolling all year. It's a division, like a AFC East battle. I think they just want to avoid them. Not that I think the Bills will handle them. If they do meet, I do think the Bills will handle them, but I just think it's one that they would want to avoid.
I'm with you again. I have New England as the second hardest opponent for the Bills. So you have them third hardest. The Patriots do have injury issues. If the Bills face New England round 1, they won't have Matt Collins for that game. He's on injured reserve. Milton Williams hasn't played in half a season almost. He assumably will be back for the playoffs, but we're not sure. Left tackle Will Campbell hasn't been available for the last few weeks. I think he's another guy the Patriots will get back, but it's not like this team is rolling and healthy and has all these guys going week after week. They're going to kind of have to be reintegrated into the team. The thing about the situation for the Bills is if the Patriots get Milton Williams back, I think that makes their run defense very good. Watching the last game on film, you could see like New England has what it takes to stop Buffalo on the ground. They needed one more guy, and they have one more guy. He just wasn't available for that game against New England. So the other part of it was the game in Foxborough. Drake May was terrible in the second half. He might be the MVP of the league for good reason. Do we expect another game at that level again? Probably not. So this to me is the second toughest opponent Buffalo could face. Who did you have as the number 2 most tough opponent?
I have Baltimore.
You have Baltimore. Okay.
I have Baltimore as my second hardest. I just, like you said, Lamar Jackson isn't fully at where Lamar Jackson normally is, but I still think there's such a big threat in him and Derrick Henry. Like, you don't know Henry could, like we said the other day, could go off for 200 yards in a game. And now, granted, the Bills and the Ravens met week 1, and that's not really a fair judgment of either,
right,
like what that matchup would be. But I don't know. I just feel like Baltimore is also one of those teams that's just a tough team. Even though they're 8-8, I still think they're just going to be a tough team. That's why I have them as number 2.
One of the other things that I don't like about Baltimore is the vibe coming out of that team all year kind of has felt like, we don't have it. That this is not a serious Super Bowl run. And for them, sneaking into the playoffs by winning a bad division as the 4 seed, that's not up to their standard. Now, once they're in the playoffs, it don't really matter what your record was or what seed you are. If you win 3 games in a row, you go to the Super Bowl. Does their attitude change? Does their motivation change? I'm not sure about that because we haven't seen anything that's been scaring me most of the rest of the season.
Lamar Jackson just scares me in general. I think
even banged up.
I mean, even banged up, obviously a little bit less, but I think maybe more Derrick Henry is more the bigger threat that I'd be worried about in that situation.
And he warrants that level of worry. Clearly, we both have Houston as the most difficult opponent. This is easy. The building has been a house of horror. The defense might be not just the best in the league, but generationally best. And for me, their run game has been a little bit better than you'd think. The offensive line has been a little bit better than you'd think. C.J. Stroud is fine, maybe even better than fine as a quarterback. And Nico Collins is the kind of receiver that can get 100 no matter how many guys you put on him. So all those things to me make them the worst. But I think Houston is a lot closer to New England or Jacksonville or Denver than Baltimore is on the other end of this scale to being a difficult matchup. I really think if you wanted to sell me on any of those other 4 teams, I'd probably buy it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's just the defense, this Houston defense, the Bills have had trouble with these last 2 years. I mean, it's basically every point that you hit. I just think that even if they were to meet in the playoffs, I don't know if they would overcome that first loss early in the season and get out of it. Like, I feel like this is just a hard Houston team. CJ Stroud isn't crazy impressive, but they do enough to beat the Bills, and it's worked so far. I
do. The point you're kind of making there about a little PTSD with what happened this year, I think that would be a part of it. Now, it could be good, too, because you play that poorly in a game, then you might turn around and say, all right, we got to do everything different. Yeah. And the second time around, it's going to have to be better because it can't be worse, but it might be better enough to make a difference the next time. As we've been saying, this is a big week for Highmark Stadium, the last game, not just for the players and the coaches, but for those of us who work these games a lot. So I talked with some other members of the media, myself included, and we all kind of commented on what we are looking forward to and what we're going to think about as this last game at Highmark Stadium comes to be this weekend.
I think on Sunday, what I'm looking forward to doing the most is just panning the stands. And instead of looking at the jerseys and which jerseys people are wearing, like looking at people's faces and what it means to them. Because I know growing up in Buffalo, both sides of my family, my wife's family are all Buffalo Bills fans, like what kind of memories there are in that stadium. And so I think from that perspective, it's going to be so special for so many people. It's like a big family reunion, right? And it coincides with the holiday season. I think it's going to be a really emotional day.
Professionally, I grew up in that stadium. You know, this was the beginning of my career was 2000, my first season here, and learning all the things, going through all the different stories, the different teams, the different coaches and players. There's so much that I've learned, and to have that sight, at least for that chunk of your life, go away, it's going to mean a lot. I don't know how to describe it, but I know I'm going to be feeling it when we get to the third, fourth quarter on Sunday.
Well, I go back to memories of my dad who worked at ABC affiliate here in Buffalo as a sports photographer, and I followed his shoes. And I go back to the first game he brought me to, and it was at this stadium. And I was maybe all of 12, 14 years old. And I remember sitting in the press box and, you know, as a kid watching Van Miller walk in with his fur coat and, you know, my father just introducing me to all these people. And, I mean, that was my first game. It was assisting my dad, and it was amazing. And then to come to Channel 4 and get the job, and they assigned me my first game is on the camera deck shooting one of the games. And I remember all that, you know, and now I'm here to close the stadium. And you look at that new stadium, and you know, to your point, and we talked about this with Matt Perino, but I've been offered to go in there and look around, shoot some stories, and I don't. I want to do this one first, close it, and then I want to go over there and see what it looks like. But it's going to be a heck of a day.
So the funny thing about how that whole thing came up, I wanted to talk to Matt Perino just to get his take on the last day of the stadium. And then Scott Swenson, who's been our longtime photographer for Bills Kickoff Live, he said, you know what? I've got things to say. So I want to talk to him. I said, sure, let's do that. And then after he did his interview, he said, you've been there for a long time, Thad. You should have your comments on. So that's why we ended up doing it the way we did. But certainly, I've been saying that the last few weeks, I've been looking around the stadium at the end of games thinking there's only a couple more of these. There's only one more of these. It will be, I don't know how emotional it'll be, but I'm pretty sure, like I said, it'll be pretty emotional on Sunday.
Do you think you'll cry?
No, because
Here.
there's too much work to be done. Maybe at the end, maybe at the very end, everything's recorded. Exactly. Yeah.
Take a deep breath.
Maybe. I mean, the other thing I'm thinking about too is how many of us in the media are going to spend so much time post game taking pictures. Yeah. It's almost better that it's a 4:30 game, because a 1 o'clock game, we'd all have 6 p.m. shows to get to. True. So we'd be a little more, I got to get work done. Mm-hmm. This will be a little more laid back to where, I'm doing my work, but let me get this picture. Let me remember this moment. And it won't just be us too. It'll be all the workers, all the equipment staff, the medical team on the field for the Bills, anybody who works the chains, the everything that happens there, security, everybody who's there all the time, because it's not just the media who are there every week. There are security people I say hi to every week. There are all kinds of people with the Bills that are, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. How's the family? That kind of thing. Everybody who's involved in that will be looking at this as I think Matt put it best, kind of a family reunion, or almost like the family's all getting together to move to the new house pretty soon.
How long do you think they'll let fans sit there and like after the game?
That's a great question.
Like at what point do they say you guys gotta go?
I want to say at least 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody will be hurried out of that building. Yeah. But that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, is seeing how do the fans react when the game is over. And like I said, I don't even know if the game will even matter much. It'll just kind of be the thing that brings everybody there. It's kind of like, Christmas is about the birth of Jesus and all that stuff, but it ends up being, let's get together and eat food and give presents, that kind of thing. It might be similar in that realm, to where the football is just the thing that gets us all to show up for the game. Yeah,
I mean, I would assume people you obviously want to watch the Bills and you want to watch the Bills win, but I think people are probably more drawn to the history of it, and who cares what happens? They're going to beat the Jets probably, and we'll just be there for the last one.
And trying to rip down signs and the bold seats and anything else you can take. Do you
think people try to steal
I think, yes. Seats? I think people will attempt, maybe not seats, but I think there will be memorabilia attempted to be gathered. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our game picks, such as they are. We do this just because basically we always do. Bills and the Jets. Rachel, what do you got?
I got Bills winning 24-10. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring, because I don't think the Bills starters will play a lot. The Jets are very banged up. I don't see the Jets putting up more than 10 points. So I got the Bills winning their last one on Highmark, 24-10. All
right, for the record here, Caleb, who was not with us this week, he has posted a Bills 20-16 pick. Sees it pretty much the same as you. I think the Bills figuring it out. I am actually going to go with the Jets this week, only because last year the Bills in that season finale against the Patriots found a way to not win. So New England didn't get the number 1 overall pick. Didn't turn out to matter. Yeah. Everything is seemingly going okay for the Patriots. I do think that when you pull the quarterback and when you go into a game where you're not going to have everybody out there to play, I do think the whole organization mentally kind of dials it back a little bit. And doesn't mean the Bills backups can't win. I think the Jets with Brady Cook are a worse situation than what the Patriots were with Joe Milton, who might be a backup quarterback, but he has ridiculous physical attributes. So all that said, though, I think the Bills are playing a little 4-dimensional chess here, because the Jets, in theory, by the way, they could end up with the number 1 overall pick.
They could.
And Francisco Mendoza is a guy that might be good enough to turn the organization around. If you're the Bills, losing this game, if you don't care about winning it, does offer you some benefit. Now, the only way the Jets get the number 1 overall pick is if the Raiders and Giants both win, which in any situation seems unlikely. But it is out there. It is a possibility that this time next week we could be talking about the Jets being on the clock for the NFL draft.
Sure.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of BKL Nightly. We'll be back again on Sunday with the game day recap show. I don't know how much game recapping we'll be doing. Yeah, but we'll be on talking about something for sure. So please tune in to us then. For Rachel Liebert, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks very much for watching again. Enjoy your new year, and we'll see you again over the weekend for the final time from Highmark Stadium.
Get Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.